All right, and now at the 36th Annual EcoFarm Conference in beautiful Pacific Grove, California. Once again, this is Josh Cunnings doing a little enviro reporting on the footsie here at a booth called Growing Solutions. Now, you may or may not have heard of this company. I've heard of them for years. They're a veritable institution in the compost tea movement. They have some delightfully simplistic and exceptionally well-built tea brewers, as well as some tea additives. And I'm going to introduce you to the vendor here, and your name is August. August, pleasure to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Thank you.
You're very welcome. So, August, how long has Compost Tea Systems Growing Solutions actually been building these fine brewing machines?
It's been about 20 years now. I think it's 20 years this year.
20 years? I thought you were only a 10-year-old company. That's amazing.
No, I think we were one of the first commercial manufacturers of compost tea units in the industry.
When you were first building compost tea brewers, very few people had any clue what the definition of compost tea was, correct?
Yeah, it was. I think it was a tough sell. There was a lot of education, a lot of push. Obviously, the industry has grown exponentially in the last 10 years since then. So it's an exciting industry to be in, and there's a lot of large-scale farmers and home gardeners of all sizes now really coming together and trying to understand it.
And at this EcoFarm conference, pretty much everyone knows what good compost tea is supposed to be, correct?
Well, yes and no. Some people know a lot about it, and some people are still learning, And I think probably the biggest thing about the compost tea industry is figuring out what to feed the microorganisms during the brewing process. That's probably the biggest key to it all. You go online, and there's a lot of information out there about putting molasses in there. And us at Growing Solutions, we're not a proponent of using molasses because although it has trace elements in it, it has simple sugars as well. And that simple sugars can simplify the diversity of the microbes that you're brewing.
And also overstimulate, like give them dessert before they've had time to digest the main course and repopulate themselves properly and so on.
Yeah, I always say it's kind of like drinking a Rockstar before you have breakfast, You just go spike up and you crash and instead of just that steady, long, solid day.
Well put. Well, August, what I've always been drawn to about your company is the quality of the brew systems that it builds. Let's talk about most of these brewers out there. They're adapted from, I believe, is it chemical feed tanks, right? The sexy cone-shaped with the cone-barreled bottom and the plumbing that then is engineered onto those. Those really weren't ever built in the beginning stages of the polyethylene being roto-molded to be compost tea brewers, correct?
Yeah, actually, when my boss, Michael Holmes, started the business, he was selling the cone-shaped brewers, and he really got away from those and pioneered the rotationally molded brewer that you see here.
Let's take a look at that brewer, by the way. This is the Rockstar Brewer. I donated one of these brewers to a farm, and it's going strong 5 years later. I mean, this is a phenomenal product. Let's talk about this machine.
So it's all rotationally molded, custom made up in a manufacturer in Vancouver, Washington. And each part is a separate part that they've made. So the blower is in the back. You plug it into 110 power. You add your compost to the basket. But first,
the basket is ingenious. This just makes it so simple to keep everything clean. Your sludge and the grinds that you then dispose of. What a civilized way to then dispose of such good biology, correct?
I appreciate that. Yeah, absolutely. And so, it's really quite a simple process. You fill it with water. Can't be chlorinated water. You have to burn the chlorine off if you're going to use that. You plug it in. You add some of our microbial catalyst, or you can make your own. But just don't use simple sugars, and as I said before, and then you add your compost to this, put the compost basket in the tray, set that there, and let it run for 24 hours, and then come back, strain it out, and use it on your crops.
And the lid has these well-machined vents built in, so the microbes can all off-gas properly, correct?
Yeah, exactly. And I should mention one of the main features of our brewers is the patented fine bubble diffusion discs that came out of the wastewater industry. So I don't know if you can see it on the screen, but there's 4,000 microperforations in this disc, and you can see in this bubbler back here this process that's occurring You can see all that air that's coming through here and all the dissolved oxygen that's getting into the water and helping the biology to exponentiate during the brewing process.
I love this disc. This disc is the heart and soul of your compost tea system. And I also love the build quality on these machines. Do you mind rotating the machine around for your viewers, for our viewers? Okay, so check this out, okay? Now this is intelligent engineering, a minimal amount of plumbing that has to be cleaned.
That's all for air, so there's no need to clean this. This just connects down to that disc, and that disc is a one-way check valve. So when there's no air going through it, the membrane deflates, and all the slits close up, and nothing comes back through. So you can turn this blower off, leave your tea for an hour or two, and not worry about it going back up into the air plumbing or flooding the blower or anything like that.
And also show our viewers how tidily, and in such a neat little corner, how tidily stored the air pump is.
Yeah, so it's all composed underneath here, so it's all protected from any water splashing on it. It has venting systems for the hot air that it produces, and these are piston blowers. They're wonderful blowers. They run forever, and so yeah, we're very.
And also the design allows you, if ever is necessary for maintenance, to get in there to the pump.
Yeah, absolutely. There's little screws right here, and then you can also undo this hose right here, and so we can take this whole hose off right here, and then there's just two screws back here, handheld eyelets, that you can unlock. We're going to take the whole blower right off of here so you can store it in the box that it came in.
It's just awesome, and the base too. You know, this is custom roto molding. They're not adapting another industry's plastic, design. They built their own from the ground up. It is just magnificent.
It's all 100% recyclable. It's all food-grade plastic, so there's no leaching of any petrochemicals or anything into the tea, and it's all high polypropylene, so it's UV resistant, although we do recommend that you keep them in the shade or inside when you're brewing. Just to keep the heat away from the blower of the sun. And
This stops the ultraviolet rays from damaging the delicate younger microbial populations while they're brewing inside this well-temperature controlled machine. Why don't we show our viewers some of your literature and then tell them how they can get a hold of you guys, where they can find these systems online. Also, before we wrap it up, real quick, Leah, I would like you to just zoom in one more time and show the viewers. This is wonderful, by the way. Great show booth, Success leaves clues. There it is, the Oxygen Diffusion Supreme in that nice, clean, simple, easy-to-maintain barrel design. Designed to off-gas properly, designed to keep the temperature and everything. I love that they built this. I mean, that alone is a commendable...
So you can see what's happening inside of the 10-gallon or the larger units. You can see how that disc is producing all those air bubbles. And plus it draws people in. It's interesting.
Let's see this here. This is a beautiful design here. Can you zoom in on this real quick, Leah?
Yeah, this is our newest, this is for large-scale ag in the Central Valley. And we actually built this. This is just a rendering from our architect's desk, but we took a 10-year-old 45-foot-long curtain-side trailer, and we took 4 of our 500-gallon units and bolted them to the floor. We put blowers on it, we put railings up on it, we put lights on it, and so now we show up to a grower, large-scale acreage, and we're not hauling water around. The tanks are empty. We plug into their water, we fill up the tanks, and we brew fresh compost tea right on site, up to 2,000 gallons a day.
This is an amazing mobile tea brewing station supreme, designed to travel the heartlands of America and fertigate and biologically, stimulate the farmlands of this whole country. I mean, if you can do this, this is the first step, by the way, August, to rebuilding our country. It's starting with our soil, since it's being depleted by 80 years of carbon farming. Hello.
I always say that our currency should be tied to our soil and our organic matter in our soil rather than tied to gold or whatever else, that you can't eat.
That is beautiful. I've never heard that. And you know what? That's just drowned me in goosebumps. That is, yeah, because why would you back gold and silver, which are not even, our paper dollar isn't even backed by those, with, such innocuous substances as a mineral that looks nice on your finger? Why wouldn't you tie it to the quantity of good soil? I'm going to back my American dollar with X amount of biologically active soil. What a magnificent idea.
Yeah. So, as you were asking, we sell a 10-gallon for the home system, a 25 for your small nursery, small farm, couple acres, 100-gallon for those acres that are more like 10 to 20 acres, and then a 500-gallon unit as well. Our 10-gallon brewer has one of those discs in it that I was talking about. The 500-gallon brewer has 16 discs.
So it has multiple points of oxygen dispersion. Very good design.
And you can find us at growingsolutions.com. I really appreciate you coming by, and it's been a pleasure to be here at the 36 Heirloom.
Thank you for coming here and making such a wonderful product. We're very impressed.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.